Hello guys, Jemmillion here, and I am here with Persia for the second episode of the Jemmillion show. I know I have not been around in a while, and I apologize for that. Working on big gaming events has got me swamped. There's so much to do behind the scenes. So I just want to say, hi Persia, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good, long day at work, but I've been excited to be on the show tonight, so I'm excited, and this is the second episode, which is also cool. I'm honored. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, you're very welcome. I couldn't think of anybody else at the moment that I like to have on. So I want to start off and have some of the viewers get to know a little bit about you. I know we had spoken before, and you had told me that you actually didn't start off in the fighting game community competitively. You actually started off in another area. So tell us a little bit about your gaming history and what led you into fighting games, and most especially Marvel.
Okay, I had always played, games growing up with my dad and my brother and my mom, so it's, always been a thing, but I didn't really get, super competitive until me and my brother started being good at games together, and he was beating me, so I got super competitive, because of him, and then I started playing a lot of Halo 2 when I was, 14-ish, and it was really fun, and I got to play a lot of other people around that time because our local scene was actually pretty good, and I would go to tournaments, and I would do really well, and people would be really surprised, and I played a lot online. Because back at that time, all I had to worry about was school, and that's it. I was a kid. I had all the time in the world, so I just play that game religiously, 21 hours straight. Most times, just play and play. And it was really fun. I got super competitive with it. I was doing well in my area, and eventually, when I wanted to get more serious and go to some of the bigger and better tournaments, it was really hard to find a team that was, just as dedicated to playing and getting better as a team. It was really easy to get dropped from teams all the time. So then I got really interested in fighting games because it was, the type of game where you only need to play as yourself and your opponent, and you don't have to worry about teammates. It's all on you. I thought that was awesome, and I thought it was a perfect way for me to still get my competitive fix and not have to worry about anybody else. Little did I know, fighting games would probably be the hardest genre of games ever. I'm sure there are other really difficult genres, but geez, going from shooters to fighting games, it was crazy. I felt like, oh man, I must be just a natural competitor, and then I picked up fighting game first time, which was Super Street Fighter 4. Played that for the first time, had no idea what was going on. No clue whatsoever. The hardest thing to learn about fighting games was realizing what I was seeing was not really what was happening. So, there were frames, there were all this detailed things that I didn't even know existed. And, that's just coming from somebody who's always played games in general in life, but then I've played fighting games and realized, wow, there are so many more intricacies behind these engines and these games, and then on top of that, the way people think and the way people play against each other. And so all that's really interesting to me, and all that I felt made me a well-rounded gamer because I go back and play shooters, or I go back and play other games, and I do way better than I would have probably back then because I guess I'm just smarter,
Yeah.
Working smarter, not harder, compared to just the strenuous hours I was putting in back in the day, compared to just knowing more about what I'm practicing. So that was really cool, and that's pretty much what led me to fighting games, and it's been a lot of fun, and just seeing the growth of it from when I joined the FGC is amazing. And there are people who have been in the FGC so many years and decades.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what it's like for everybody else to witness the growth of the FGC from then until now, when I'm shocked at where it is now, and I haven't even been here that long. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I feel like, there's so many amazing things for us in the future. So.
Well, when did you join the FGC? What year was that?
I think officially 2010. I'm not even an 09er. I'm pretty sure 2010 was like the first year. But it's cool. Like, I feel like I have been in the FGC for a lot longer than that. For some reason, maybe it's just because all the friendships that I've made in the FGC are pretty godlike, and they feel like long-lasting friendships. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the people or the games in particular, but it feels like I've been around a lot longer, even though I know I haven't. But yeah, it's cool. 2010. I was going on year number 6. Let's go.
Nice. You know what? I think it's a combination of everything. Because, like, when I was a little kid, I used to religiously play fighting games, but in the arcade. Like, I tried to get my parents to buy me fighting games, and they wouldn't. They were like, oh, you little girl shouldn't be playing, these violent games. And I was like, no, I want to play, but they got me, like, Mario and, like, stuff like that. So I always was playing video games. It just, I'd go to the movie theater sometimes, I think, specifically just to play Tekken. They had a Tekken Tag Tournament 1 arcade there, and I would religiously play. But you see, at that point, I was like 11, 12, and I thought I was like a god at Tekken. And I was reintroduced to the fighting game scene in, I think, I was introduced, actually, in the fighting game scene around 2012. I met someone, they're like, well, there's a tournament scene for this, right? I'm like, no, there's not. And, like, we grew up, like, when it really wasn't, like, I don't want to say not popular, but it wasn't really, like, socially acceptable, and there wasn't really online, so you couldn't meet anybody online, you couldn't read articles online and learn about it. It wasn't in the newspaper, so it was pretty much like your friends, and that was it. Yeah. And it's amazing to me how much has even changed from 2012 to just in last year. We have made such huge strides in the gaming community in general that, I'm really excited to see where it takes off. Now, one game that you are definitely very known for being involved in is the Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now, I know that not only are you a commentator for that at a lot of different majors, but you also started your own podcast recently called Marvel Talks.
Marvel Live.
Marvel Live. I am wrong. I am sorry.
All good. It's a funny story. I can tell you more about it later.
Well, you can tell me more about it now, because that was actually my question. I wanted to know what your goals were for the Marvel community. What are you hoping to accomplish with?
I mean, the ultimate goal, ultimate goal, get it? Okay.
I get it. No, I got it. It's okay.
Yeah, the goal is, of course, to keep Marvel alive. I mean, I've always been the type of person who felt like Marvel never died to begin with. But other people need more convincing, I guess you could say. But goals are just to keep eyes on the game and keep people interested in the game and reminding people why we fell in love with this game to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Getting surrounded by so much Street Fighter V hype, the game's cool, nothing against the game. But Marvel is just way more hype. Let's be real. Marvel is insane. And I love Marvel, and that's why I support it 100%. Like I said before, a lot of my friendships that I've made, a lot of those guys are Marvel players, and they're all awesome. So I really love Marvel in general, the people, so on and so forth. But also just the passion and the hype is just beautiful, like, for the game. So the goal is to make sure everyone gets to experience it, and everyone knows, like, just how great and exciting that it is, and how great our community is, and how much we enjoy the game for more than just, hitting the buttons, the stories, the players, the rivalries, the teams, the regions, the pride, the glory. All of these things in the game are intricate, they're deep, they're always evolving, even when people don't think that the game is doing anything anymore, because players are still playing. These top players are some of these people that used to watching and used to seeing them play. So they kind of just thought, well, it's going to be the same results no matter what. Only these handful of players are going to be winning. And it was like that at one point. But now the game is still evolved, and other people are getting their opportunity to shine too. So it's really important for people to still stay involved with the community and watch along, because our players are growing in our community. The quality of our community is getting better. So the goal is to make sure everyone knows that, and just to keep it going. We got so many hype tournaments coming up. We got Combo Breaker, we got CEO, we've got Evo, and so many tournaments in between. ECT, the big E events, of course, always holding it down for Marvel 3 times a year, every single year. BigEgaming.com, right? So, Marvel is alive and well. Marvel is here. People just need to open their eyes and embrace it instead of being naysayers. I think it got to the point where it was just fun or the cool thing to be like, oh, Marvel's dead. Oh, no one cares about Marvel. When in reality, that's not what was happening. But you know how it is. Everyone catches on to a trend, and that's just it with a lot of people. But if you constantly have people pushing the game, supporting the game, shout out to Marvel Live, our podcast, we try to talk about the game and everything going on with the community as much as possible. The tournaments, the exhibitions, hot topics in general, we are trying to keep the eyes on that. And that's only, every other week, but we still provide like really quality shows for you guys to keep along. That's how much stuff is going on with Marvel, that we can have a packed show, every single show filled with content on a 2-week basis. 2 weeks can fill up our whole show. If you think nothing's going on with Marvel, then we would have nothing to talk about. So,
right.
The thing about Marvel Live also is that is a huge collaboration with a bunch of really awesome Marvel heads. Kinder Party, he was our former host. He was, the originator. He hit me up one day and he's like, I have a vision for Marvel, and this is what I want to make it happen. And, I helped him out, me and him. We gathered the team. The Marvelous Essentials crew, they go to tournaments. They record full play. They put it up on their YouTube. So many times people ask, oh, man, so-and-so played. So-and-so lost to so-and-so in pools. Well, we don't know because some of those matches weren't streamed. Well, now Marvelous Essentials holding you down for things like that at select events, of course. But with more support, I'm sure they would be able to get out to more events, and you would be able to get to see more Marvel. So they're another group that if you love Marvel, you should be supporting. So yeah, those guys over at Marvelous Essentials. Then we had Kinder Party and myself, and then we also have SBK. He's from Atlanta. He's residing over in Cali now. Excellent player. He has a good mind for a podcast type thing where we can talk about the game and the players and the mindsets. He's an amazing person where you can bounce a conversation off of constantly. He's hilarious too. So the whole crew is just sick, and we all worked together on this to get it started. We started off with Marvelous Mondays. That was the original podcast, and we were having a podcast every other Monday, and it was going great. We had a few episodes, then we linked up with Team Spooky. That's when we became Marvel Live, which is now every first and third Tuesday at 9 p.m. on his channel. That's when we really started getting the podcast more serious and really filling our shows with a lot of quality content. But then Kinder Party, he had to step away, and I've been taking over the hosting duties for the podcast, and it's tough. It's hard work to host it. But I really want to still keep it going. I don't think I would, want to stop the podcast just because KP had to step away. We still got to support the game, and that's what we're doing. We brought Ray Ray into the mix, kind of to keep the table round, and we also have guests from time to time. Try to keep, guests on as often as possible, people that are staying up to date. So the podcast, hilarious story. A lot of people think that, I'm the one who started everything, but no, it was literally, a group collaboration starting from Kinder Party. So thank you, KP. Yeah.
No, I think what you're doing for the Marvel community is great. In fact, it's amazing to me the amount of dedication and passion that the Marvel community has. I don't think anybody can take that away from them. And yes, Marvel is probably the most hype game I've seen. Like, when I'm watching it. Like, if you're at a tournament, I've seen more people get hype over Marvel than any other game, at least at all the tournaments I've been to. Regardless of other people claiming that it was going to die. And there was that period of time, I remember, that everybody was going on, it's dead, that's it. It might not even be at EVO next year. It's done. But I definitely agree with you, and I think that what you guys are doing is great, and I think it's definitely helping the Marvel community stay afloat, so keep up the great work with that. Speaking of Marvel, so recently Disney had made an announcement that they are done pretty much making their own video games. There is no more Disney Infinity, but now they were going to just sell licensed content for other gaming platforms to essentially make their own video games out of their content that they own. And that has sparked a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom fans to start petitions to send to Capcom and to Disney about Marvel vs. Capcom 4 being made. What are your views on this, and do you think that it is a possibility that it might actually come to fruition?
I feel like where there's a will, there's a way, right? This has opened up an opportunity. I'm not saying directly that they are going to bust down our doors and be like, yes, please take our licensing and we're making this game right now, but there's an opportunity there. I feel like if we are supporting the idea and we are supporting the game and we are supporting them and letting them know if they do take the chance or the opportunity to do this, not only are we in a prime time of esports, where if you do obtain those rights and create a game, you will be able to create the game exactly how you want to fit this evolving scene of esports. Everyone wants to be in on esports now. Imagine being able to create a game under your name and, you know, putting your brand out there. Marvel, you know, and Capcom, you guys, hope you're listening, that, you know, now is the time to do it. Now is the time. And you have a loyal fan base here. You have amazing players. Street Fighter just came out, and it is becoming a huge esport with a huge support. Now get in control of another style of game. Street Fighter is great, but it's a different kind of game from Marvel. So there's no harm in trying at least to forge these other games to fit in this esports space. And
right.
Street Fighter being the only representation of a fighting game when that's not true. I mean, now we have Guilty Gear SW, which is great, you know, more variety. But there are other fighting games that, you know, should also be looked at too. So we have Street Fighter, we have Guilty Gear, now where's the Marvel? You know, where's this team-based games that we can, you know, get excited over, because that is what Marvel does. So I think it would be really exciting. I feel like there's no better moment than the now, and not only do we have amazing people in our community that can help make this game, Marvel 4, if it were to happen, great, they're also willing. So it doesn't get any better than that. So hopefully, hands up, prayers up. But to all the people immediately saying negative things about, oh, there's no way it's going to be a Marvel 4, no one's going to put their money in that. There are people out there waiting and willing and eager, but if they see us saying all these negative things about just the idea of it, that's not a good look. So people just need to open their minds, be acceptant of what's to come or what could come, and not be so eager to be a naysayer online. I know it's fun, you guys, but you guys, stop it.
No, but I think this is definitely prime time with the fighting game transitioning as rapidly as it is into esports for new fighting games to come out and to really showcase. For example, KOF 14. that in the beginning, when their first trailer launched, people were really iffy about the graphics and what they were doing and weren't sure. But as time went on, I think SNK really proved that they were dedicating a lot of time to the game and improving it. They're starting off with a roster of 50 characters, which is insane. I don't think there's ever been another fighting game, to my knowledge, that started off with such a wide variety and number of characters. And I think their intention is even to add more characters down the line. So we should definitely see how that works out. But I think that this is like now the time. So it would be a great time, I think, for Marvel 4 to make it. And who knows, maybe I'll suddenly, be good at Marvel if the game comes out. I mean, I tried. I mean, I have all the Marvel games. The first Marvel vs. Capcom, the second one, the third. I just compared to all of the rest of the pro Marvel players, I get bodied. So, I mean, new game, new opportunities. But people definitely do need to be accepting, and I think that that's an issue that's being tackled in general for the fighting game community right now. Another game that I'm not sure why it was never made before. In fact, when they announced it, I was really excited. Pokken. Okay, so why it took them so long to make a fighting game about Pokemon is beyond me, considering they fight each other in the game. You recently had an opportunity with Nintendo and got brought on as an official commentator for Pokken. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what your plans are, if any, in the future with the game.
Well, I'm really excited about Pokkén Tournament, actually, because it's like everyone's childhood dream. Like you said, why
right.
not make this game sooner? And it's true, but it doesn't matter about the past now. What matters is that the game is here now, and we're playing it, and it's awesome. Being able to commentate the early access finals, it was so exciting, and it was a different level of like a different experience in commentary specifically than anything else I've experienced, but also completely awesome. Like, we had rehearsals, like, it was really professional, it was really awesome. It really made me feel like I'm on the right path here, like I'm doing something right. It was really exciting, and thank you again to, JC, Kristen, and Nintendo, and Milk Tea, actually, Lil, for putting in a good word for me, actually getting me in touch, and it was awesome. Worked out great, and now I have a Wii U now. Just got it, and I have the game, and as you can maybe hear, there was some Mario Maker going on in the background, so we've been playing that, and I have the game though, so I'm definitely going to be playing it. I want to really get involved and just enjoy it because it's new, and it's different, completely different. I think it's interesting the way they merge 2D and 3D fighting styles into one game, and it works, and it makes sense. And the game itself, I haven't played it a lot, okay? I played it very minimally, but from what I watched and what I've seen and what I know so far, it's pretty balanced. If you take a lot of damage, you will fall out of the combo, stuff like that. It is a bit of a rock, paper, scissors style with your options as far as, hitting, countering, throwing. But then again, let's be real. What fighting game isn't like a rock, paper, scissors sometimes? It just happens, right? You knock someone down, it's a guess for all of us, realistically. But it's just a matter of how you look at it. I think that's another thing to add on to people being open-minded because, I heard some not so great things about the game before it even came out. Haven't been hearing too much of that lately. But I do want to see, more of the Pokken scene grow, and it has been, and it's still new and it's still fresh. So I think Pokken's really going to go somewhere. I think anybody interested in playing it, should play it, should try it. It's fun, and it's your favorite Pokemon. So I think that it's going to be hard to learn. I feel like it's going to be hard to learn. I know that the controller style is a little bit different. I'm really used to playing on stick, and Pokken's a lot on pad, so that's going to be something to get used to. But I'm still interested in watching it. I've seen a lot of tournaments. They had some of it at final round, and it's exciting and it's fun to watch. So hopefully I can step it up and get really good. That's the main goal. I really want to get good at it, but it's like any fighting game. It's going to be hard to do. So
Who is your main right now?
I don't really have a main yet, but I really like Blaziken, and I want to use him. I want to main him. But I also like Pikachu Libre because he's adorable and hilarious. But I think I'm going to try to use Blaziken, or I might just be cheap and go with like a top tier character like Weevil or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I was looking at Blaziken and Gengar, because Gengar's cool. But, I mean, yeah, so definitely Pokken. You know, you were talking about how there were some negative things being said about Pokken in the beginning, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we weren't really given an option to play it in the beginning. All we could do was watch streams, you know, from Japan, since they weren't really releasing it over here. So I think what helped is actually deciding to release a copy of the game into the US and giving players, you know, more internationally the opportunity to actually check the game out for themselves so they can make a genuine opinion rather than just based on what they're seeing. But it definitely feels almost kind of like a mix of a couple different fighting games together, including Tekken. There's definitely some elements of it that make me think of Tekken. I don't know if that's just because Namco Bandai helped make it, but it's definitely a different fighting game compared to all of them. And I wonder if they're gonna make Wii U arcade sticks in the future to try to accommodate Nintendo getting more into fighting games recently. Would you buy a Wii U arcade stick if they came out with it?
Absolutely. I absolutely would. However, I understand how they made the controller to fit the game because it's only 4 buttons, and then you have like a grab button. It's like minimal. It's not as, it's not like light kick, light punch. Like, it's not like that. It's only like a zoning attack that will track someone down, a light attack, and a heavy attack, and then you have like your burst, and it's a button. So yeah, the way the controls are, I can understand how they did it that way. I'm not sure exactly how that would translate over to stick, but I personally, as stubborn as I am, just believe I play better on a stick and would do better on the stick no matter what the button layout would be.
You know, we've been talking a lot about different fighting games that are out there right now that are popular, but I wanted to ask, what are other fighting games that you do have an interest in, that you have thought about competing in competitively besides Marvel?
Besides Marvel, of course, Street Fighter V. I'm definitely interested in playing and learning the game. The thing about it is I'm really struggling to find a character that I like. So that's why I've been so behind, and at the same time, just focusing on everything else, really hard to find like good quality time to actually work on it and practice on it. But besides Street Fighter, I also really like Guilty Gear, and I think it's so sick, and I love watching it, and I think all the characters are really cool and unique, and I really want to play that game. I think the hardest thing for me about that game is like the air dashes you have to do manually, compared to Marvel where you can press 2 buttons. So, and the dash motion has never really been that great for me. So that's one thing. I can pinpoint the things that are going to be my weakness in a game. So you would think I'd be able to pick up a game rather fast, but no. Like, I can identify it, but then I can't, like, capitalize. And, it just takes me a long time to learn a game. And I think that's just because of me, not because of, anything else. I just personally take a long time. It took me a long time to learn my team in Marvel, and as much as I talk about wanting to switch over to a better team or a cheaper team, I know it's going to take me so long to do it. So I just end up sticking with my team and just try to get my team better. But I know eventually I'm going to have to get past that, especially if I want to do really well in tournament, which has always been my main goal. I've always wanted to compete and do well just because that's my competitive nature. But at the same time, no one served me the greatest a greater humble pie than the FGC, because I've gone 0-2 in so many tournaments. I think the best I've done in the tournament was make it to losers finals in my pool. It's so hard. Like, I can't even count how many times I got extremely salty after losing in the tournament and just wonder why I even waste my time. I get that salty when I lose, so I guess that just comes with being competitive. But at the same time, it takes me a really long time to learn stuff, so I'm still trying to find my balance in competing and whatnot in fighting games. I never had this issue in shooters, but fighting games, completely different story.
Well, they're two completely different styles of games, so I think it can definitely be, it can be a little bit of a struggle to switch from, the one to the other. And another thing I learned is that, like, for example, I play a lot better at home than I actually do at tournaments. I go to tournaments, I go to play, and I make the dumbest mistakes. The noise completely gets to me, and I get salty. I get really mad. I walk away, and I was just like, I shouldn't have lost that, because you make dumb mistakes. You make dumb mistakes you don't make at home, and it makes you, mad. But I think the most important thing is to get back up and to keep trying despite that. Always find new ways, always keep learning. What would your advice be to new players that are coming out to a tournament where they feel they're playing great online, and then they attend their first tournament and they go 0-2 and they're so mad and they decide they're never going to another tournament again? What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, the thing about it is, everybody goes through it. It's a common thing. The first tournament for Street Fighter I ever entered, literally, I landed in New York, okay? It was like, I don't know, 8 at night or something. I start playing. They teach me how to low forward fireball, okay? That was the first thing I learned. Practiced that for about an hour. Went to sleep. Woke up, and we went to a local tournament, and they decided to set me up in a money match against the owner of the store, okay? And it was insane. Everyone was crazy hype about it. Everyone was betting on us. I have 1 hour Street Fighter experience. It was actually close to I think it's because the owner also didn't play. So we were playing, I'm just doing random stuff. I tried 3 times to get my Ultra out, and it didn't work. I ended up doing 3 EXDPs in a row. And I hit every EXDP because he was also trying to do something that wasn't coming out. So 3 EXDPs in a row, I hit him 3 times. And I'm like, I really can't get this Ultra out. So I just did the Ultra anyways, full screen. And he just like jumped in on me. It was really close. We even had a double KO one round. It was like the most insane random thing in the world. But after that, I have never been so cotton-mouthed. I couldn't even speak. I was like, I need something to drink right now. I have no moisture. Like, it was crazy. And that was the first time I ever experienced anything like that. And that was just, a local tournament. That wasn't even a major event. That wasn't even a big event. It was just something small. So part of me feels like maybe I carried that with me, like, the rest of the way. So every time I go to a tournament, I get really nervous. I just try to focus, remind myself not to get too ahead of myself when I'm actually playing. Most of the time when I'm playing Marvel, I'm worrying so much about what they're doing, what their team's doing, and everything on the screen, instead of realizing the limitations of what they're doing, right? I can put myself in this part of the screen, and even if he calls this assist, I'll be okay. And then fighting within that area instead of feeling Like, they're doing so much stuff and I don't know what to do. Let me just block. And then the second I'm blocking, I get opened up, and that's the rest of the round after that. It's just about keeping your head, keeping your composure, remembering what you know. The game itself, the game you play online and the game you play in the tournament, is the same exact game. There's nothing different about that game and the game you're playing. It might be a different disc or a different console, but the game is the same, right? It's just your mentality and what you carry into it. Confidence has to be one of the most deadly attributes to a fighting game player in the world. I'm certain of it. If you have no confidence in your game plan or, you know, in yourself to be able to find solutions mid-match, mid-round, you know, to fight your opponent, that's the hardest part. So don't worry about anybody else around you when you go to these tournaments. Just worry about your game and how you play. It's going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to be different. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crowded, probably. You might have been partying the night before with your friends. It's a major, and that's what we do. And then, you know, little things like that. But ultimately, just stay calm and, you know, chill out and play your game, and that's it. That's the most advice I can give. Probably I should be taking a lot of that advice too, but when it comes to tournament, it really is difficult, but it's mostly your mentality. So that's my opinion on it.
And you might as well take off work the following Monday too, because you'll be done. You'll be down for a day. I made the mistake once of deciding I was going to work a shift and I had to be there at 7:30 and the next day after a major, and there was lots and lots of caffeine consumption because I was dead. So that would be my advice too. And don't give up.
Yeah. And
don't give up.
You can't get discouraged because it happens. Fighting games are hard. You only get 2 chances. You lose your first match and you lose your second match. That's it. That's all of your turn. That's all the experience you get to gain from this tournament. That was the biggest letdown for me a lot of the times. When I know I struggle in the tournament and I need the tournament experience, yet I can't even win more than 2 games or play more than 2 games because I'm losing, and then I don't get to experience that tournament experience. I don't get to gain the experience I need to be better at playing in tournament because I don't get to play in tournament enough because I suck.
and you know what, there's there's hundreds of thousands of, I don't say hundreds of thousands, but I mean hundreds two thousands like of people that are normally at these majors. So if you go to find, you know, you want to find casuals, there are a ton of people that are playing casuals, but good luck trying to find them, especially downstairs, or getting any practice in, because everybody wants to do the same thing. So it's definitely important for, I feel, for players who want to be competitive to go to events and other tournaments, but they should definitely plan in advance and find people in advance that you know you want to practice and play with, because it can be a little overwhelming, I feel like, for your first major tournament if you're not used to being a part of a community like that. So I'm gonna go back here a little bit, and not only are you involved with Marvel Lives, but you also, not that long ago, got a position with running MashFest, and you do a lot for the New York City community scene. So tell us a little bit about that and MashFest and what you're doing right now and what you're hoping to accomplish for the East Coast.
Well, I love MashFest. MashFest is awesome. But as far as helping the New York City scene, I don't feel like I have that much of an impact. As far as the New York City FGC goes, I would definitely hand a lot of that over to guys like Bum or Art or, you know, Spooky. You know, they're really doing some big thing. You know, Next Level, Savage Lands, really holding it down for locals, keeping our players active. You know, I seriously just have to give all the credit to them when it comes to stuff like that. I do want to help, and I do want to, you know, help the New York City scene for sure, because I always support NYC, and everything. I'm always known for being infamously biased on the podcast, always supporting New York, because it's true. I really do feel like we have some of the most amazing players and some of the best players in the world, like in New York. And I honestly believe that because I do see these guys outside of the major events, and I've seen them play and I've seen them run sets, and they are godlike. But that goes for everybody. I'm sure everyone has that same type of feel when they're at home and they see their players. So on to that. With Mash Fest, it's really fun. We have our event every other Monday, and then we also throw, side events on top of that every other Monday. So we have our 4-year anniversary coming up. We do New Year's parties. We do like holiday parties, theme parties. Sometimes we have parties as after parties, 2 events going on. After party to Spring Fighter they've done before, and they're all really fun. They're all really well put together. So for them to bring me on board as a host is really exciting. I love seeing all of your beautiful faces. I love having people come together, play some games, have a few drinks. That's the best thing about it. It's super casual, super fun. There's no pressure, and a lot of people do try out the games and the fighting games that probably didn't play before, and next time I see them at the next Match Fest, they're playing again, and they're doing better than they did last time. I think that's really exciting that casually we can get people involved in our scene, and even if they only play at Match Fest, they're probably going to go home and watch the streams and watch, what we're doing outside of Match Fest, because people do come up to me next few times and say, oh yeah, I did catch the stream, or yeah, I did see this match. A friend shared it with me, and that is really helping the scene. I feel like just getting people inclusive, making people feel like just because you're not a godlike player, that doesn't mean you're not in our community. That's the most important thing, and I think Match Fest is a nice, safe place, and it's fun, and it's consistent. I think that's a really good thing too.
I'm going to jump back now to another game, Street Fighter V. So there's been a lot of mixed feelings about Street Fighter V. There's been a lot of people, tournament-wise, that are really excited for it. I mean, the numbers at major tournaments, including EVO, are breaking record numbers. However, for the whole community as a whole, gaming community, more so what I mean is all the gamers that just play online and enjoy playing it feel a lot differently. The sales were a lot lower. The game is known to not necessarily be complete. There's still a lot more that they're planning to add into it. How do you think that's affecting the game? I have seen some people who were really hype about it competitively now start to dwindle down and not be so hype anymore. Do you think there's a chance it could die down before it has the opportunity to really grow even more, or do you think that it's just in a phase, and once everything else essentially comes out, people will feel differently?
I feel like with Street Fighter, looking at sales isn't necessarily the greatest way to compare that to the competitive scene, in my opinion, because sales, you're gonna stack up a video game's sales to other video games, but the real honest fact is that fighting games are not like other regular games, okay? So they are more complicated. The people who are fighting game players, we are going to be excited for the game because we play it for its competitive aspect. We've all seen what the story mode looks like so far in the game, and if you're a casual gamer and you hear, oh, Street Fighter just came out today, would you like to buy it? Oh, maybe just as a gamer, I'm going to buy it and check it out. Their first idea is going to go into the story mode. They're going to play 3 matches in story mode, and then to them, it's like the story mode's over, So I feel like that the sales are harder with fighting games because you do have to be invested in fighting games previously to understand more about them and to be more excited for it. That's my opinion. It's not like picking up
The Last of Us and just playing it because that game came out and you know, you just want to play it and it's easy to jump into. You don't need any prior knowledge. Whereas fighting games, you do need some prior knowledge. You do need some research. You do need to invest some time. And I think for a lot of casual gamers, they don't want to do that. So, sales, I never really look at sales. Numbers in tournament. Our numbers are huge. And that's for us, right? Record breaking numbers everywhere. Amazing. Great. Now, the excitement of a new game is going to bring a lot of people out, of course. And the way Capcom is going about teaching people Street Fighter pretty much. The tutorial modes are really good.
Right.
They do explain about the engine. They explain about your game plan. They give you a free month subscription to their Twitch channel while also running this Capcom Pro Tour, a tour over the whole entire world. So you get a free subscription to our channel. You're going to be like, oh, what's this? I'm going to go subscribe. Then you get that little alert every single time they go live. Then you watch a tournament. Oh, guess what? Now you catch yourself watching every tournament. Oh, guess what? Now you catch yourself going to one of these events. I think they're doing that amazingly. That's also why I think any new fighting game coming out right now with that kind of push is going to be good in this market right now. It's all about what do they call it? Customer awareness, right?
Right.
If you can build the customer awareness around your game, then your game's going to be successful, and that's what they're doing. So I think that the game's great. I think people who were hype about it before and are not hype about it now are people who can't let go of Street Fighter 4. And because Street Fighter 4 was out for a while, we went through a lot of different versions, but it in general was the same game. And now it is a different game. It looks the same. It's from the same company, but it's a different game, and it's going to take some time. The game's only been out since March. It's what, a few months, like 2 months.
Yeah,
it's only
it
officially
hasn't been very long at all.
So, and the fact that they have characters coming out every single month. Not only is that going to keep people involved with the game because they're going to be like, oh, I can wait one more month until this character comes out. Then that character's going to come out. They're going to find all the reasons why they hate it. And then they're going to be like, I can't wait till the next character comes out because I hated this character. And I'm going to go check out that character. You know, all this stuff with the DLC. Not only does it do that, it can turn some people off because they're like, oh man, I gotta buy this character every single month that just suits this character. But they're keeping us on our toes, you know, keeping us learning a new character every month keeps the tournament scene interesting instead of letting people find the one broken character and everyone just abusing it for all time. There's something new to the mix every single time. Something not only new to the mix as far as a new character, but it's getting people off of their main to try out this character, fiddle around with the character for a little while, and let other people catch up with their mains. You know, I think there's a lot of different dynamics to having the characters being released this way. I'm not going to say I'm a huge fan of not getting a whole completed game, but we could be realistic now. It's never going to be like that ever again. There's never going to be a game without DLC ever again. So I've come to terms with that. So I don't hold that against Street Fighter. If there's anything that mobile games taught the gaming industry, it's to have add-ons and have some sort of way to make money after your game is done and released. So that's my opinion on it. But I think Street Fighter is going to do well. I think the initial tournament player count is going to stay high, at least until after EVO, and then I think it's going to come down a little bit. I think the initial of it being a new game is just going to take off. Not taking anything away from Street Fighter, but let's say a new Marvel game came out, it would pretty much follow the same path, especially if they really make Marvel 4 right. They do beta testing the way they did beta testing for Street Fighter. They have the right people involved. All of those things very easily done. It just comes down to the bigger picture and how we're going to get that in motion. That comes from support and a prayer that someone's going to be willing to invest in us. But yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to take some time as Capcom, I know there was some stuff like Capcom was saying today they realized that the game isn't, you know, complete, and there were some things that they could essentially do better. So I think it's important for players that feel it's incomplete to give it some time to, you know, sort of flourish out. More stuff being involved, actually being able to purchase, you know, with the money. I think the store is not available yet.
Mhm.
And I know that there are some players that are upset with that. But I think patience, I think it's going to do better after June when the story mode comes out and there's a lot more that's out. So,
Right.
competitively wise, though, I mean, it's doing fantastic. So I just think I agree with everything that you said. So one of the other things that you do is commentary, and you do a great job at it.
Thank you.
There are a lot. I think one thing that's needed in the fighting game community right now are essentially more commentators. And commentators that, you know, have a lot of experience. So it's important to teach them, you know, the ins and out of commentating gameplay. So what would your advice be for up and coming commentators? There's definitely a few that have been popping up lately.
Yeah, I mean, commentary, it's fun. I really love doing it. I love doing it for multiple reasons. You know, you get the best seat in the house. You don't got to worry about anyone being taller than you sitting in front of you. You know, you get the best seat. You get to witness amazing play. And then when you are in love with a game, commentating it makes it that much better. Being able to share your thoughts on it makes it that much better. And it also will motivate you to learn more about your game. Because if you're like me, I don't like getting on the mic and talking out of my ass. I don't like getting on the mic and not knowing what to say.
Exactly.
You know, I want to be able to provide some value to your match and to your stream, something that maybe you can go back and watch and enjoy watching because you know, the commentary was great, or you might have learned something, or you could teach me something. I like that too. Sometimes I'll be commentating, I'll give my opinion on something. The player will come back to me, you know, sometime later and be like, oh, when this happened, did you know actually it's this and this? And then I learned something. It's an all around process. I think it's great. You will always have room to grow and room to learn. But it really comes down to presentation now, I feel like. And that's not presentation as in how you look. Presentation as in you should be practicing at your locals at least. You know, try to get on the mic at your locals. You know, get a feel for commentating and get more comfortable on the mic. And then as you get better, then you can start making a reel, you know, put together some of your clips. We have events like Combo Breaker now who have open applications for commentators, and you can put where you commentated, put some clips of your commentary, and then they will take that into consideration like a real job. You apply, you show your experience, you show your skills, and they might bring you on. And then from there, that's when you can really grow and really expand. You'll also get the confidence to commentate more, and it's really fun. Or you'll find out really quick that commentating is not for you, because I've also had people really excited to commentate. Then they start doing it for a little while, and then they realize it's not really something that they want to do,
Right.
or it interferes too much with them playing in tournament, because that can be a big problem also. But another thing about getting into commentary is that if it's something you really want to do, and you feel like you're doing a great job when you do it, and you know, it's something that you do want to get better at, you can't let anybody scare you away from it.
Right.
Don't read the chat most of the time, especially at big events. Everyone has something to say, but at the end of the day, you're there for a reason. That event is letting you commentate at their event for a reason. We're at the
Exactly.
point now where every major is pretty much a big deal. no matter the difference in size, every major is watched, every major is looked at, you know, every major makes its impact in some way. So you being there, them letting you on, you have to take advantage of it. You have to make the best of it. If you let some people online, you know, say a few things that push you away from it, not only are you going to let it affect your commentary, then you're going to feel scared about it every time you commentate. And they just need to get used to you. That's just my opinion on in the beginning. I got a lot of flack for commentating, but I kept doing it because it was really fun. The people actually running the event would tell me they enjoy my commentary. And to me, ultimately, when I'm commentating, I take that as me working. It's a day in the office for me. If my employer tells me I'm doing a great job and they like what I'm doing and, you know, they had no issues with my commentary, then I felt like I did it right. I succeeded. And that's the ultimate goal. Of course, I want the people at home to be entertained. I want them to enjoy it too. That's always a priority. But at the same time, you know, the people at the event, it's their event, right? I don't want to feel like I'm crashing the event or I'm making the event worse. So it's like a reassurance if they tell, you know, if the tournament organizers tell me that I did fine, you know, it was a good job. That's reassurance to me that despite the naysayers online, I am doing it right. And then even the people online telling me I'm doing great too. Not everyone is mean online. There are people who do seem like normal people, people who you would probably be friends with in real life, and that's just a thing. There's like give and take, right? There's going to be good, there's going to be bad, but you just got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you love. You can't let no one stop you. Sounds corny and generic, but it's just the greatest truth of all time. That's why everyone says it.
No, you know what? And I always like to tell people that you're always going to have haters. That's the unfortunate part of life. Not everybody is going to like you or appreciate you. And some people, they just like to, you know, troll and to make fun of other people. And it's unfortunate that they feel so negative in their lives that they need to project that on other people. But I always tell people to focus on those who are throwing positivity their way. Focus on the people that do support you. Focus on the people that do accept you and think you're doing great. Don't focus on the haters, essentially, which majority of them are actually online. I've never really experienced in person, you know, any hate, and most of it I see, if anything, is online. So it's just a matter of, you know, practicing to not care about what negative people essentially say about you.
Your main job, you know, is to commentate. You know, that's your main job, is to commentate. Realistically, you know, you shouldn't be spending most of your commentary time reading the stream anyways. You should be commentating the match and focusing on the match. So
Exactly.
I think when it comes down to it, once you're actually commentating and you're there, then it's a non-issue. Once you're in your element, it's a non-issue. Afterwards, you go on Twitter, you know, you check your tweets, whatever. Everyone's super supportive. Yeah, you get the one or two who aren't, but hey, it's still a confidence booster to hear even one person tell you you did a good job, you know, on Twitter or, you know, in the chat, wherever. There are great benefits to commentating, like personal benefits, like you will feel great, you know, especially if it's something you love to do. So just don't let no one stop you. Simple, easy peasy.
Exactly. Follow Persia's footsteps and don't let it stop you, because you're not doing great things because you essentially didn't let any potential negative things thrown your way stop you from doing what it is you enjoy and love to do. And everybody should do the same. So I wanted to offer the chat now the opportunity to ask you or myself, whoever they like, some questions. I will pick about 3 to 4-ish, maybe more. So go ahead and ask whatever questions you like and for whoever, and we can discuss it.
All right.
FYI, FYI, I did fix the sound in the middle of it. It was an issue with XSplit, so
Oh, okay.
I'll remember that for next time. Okay, so we have a question here. If they end up doing Marvel 4, what are the top 3 characters you both want to see if they end up doing? So I'll let you go first, and then I'll answer.
Honestly, even though this might be an extreme long shot, I just think it would be absolutely amazing for Magneto, Storm, and Sentinel to return and just keep the legacy going, you know? I feel like it would only be right. It would be a great initiation, you know. Mag, Storm, Sent, they've been there through the the good and the bad through all the entire series, and I feel like it would just be good. It would just be good. It would just be good for the game for those 3 to be in it again.
Let's see. So for me, let's see. Well, one of my favorite Marvel characters is Jean Grey, Phoenix. So I definitely am gonna say I want to see Phoenix in it again. I also want to see Venom make his return into the game. Since I played him a lot in Marvel 2, and he needs to return. He was like one of my favorite characters. And let's see. I'm going to say a crazy one. Just because I think it would be really funny to see this character in here, and he's my main in Street Fighter 4. But I totally think they should put T-Hawk in Marvel 4. I think it would be really funny and enjoyable. And yeah, I definitely agree about Psylocke. I mean, God, there's so many characters would hope they would put in it, but I definitely want to see some new ones, like some crazy ones that like you wouldn't expect, like T-Hawk, or like Oro from Third Strike, like Necro. Like, it would be funny. It would be really enjoyable to see Howard the Duck. Yes, funny characters that we might not have been able to see before. But definitely, but definitely.
And like that's the beauty of Marvel, Marvel versus Capcom, is that both universes are so large that practically any group of characters from either one are probably going to make an amazing game to play, right? We saw in Marvel 3, we saw Frank West, Phoenix, right? When did you ever think you were going to see those characters in a fighting game? And then you did. And then we're watching them in tournament being played, by these character specialists, like being the best Frank West, being the best Phoenix, right? Seeing amazing stuff. And here we are going from playing, our zombie game, playing our Phoenix Wright game on DS, to playing them in a fighting game, playing them on a big screen, big stage, big tournament. That's exciting. That's a land of opportunity all on its own. Again, Marvel, hello, Black Panther. People want to play Black Panther in a fighting game now because you just released a dope movie and you introduced him. Everyone's in love with him. Do you see what you could do right now, Marvel? Do you see it? Just do it.
See, better you should direct that towards Disney. Do you see Disney what you could be doing with Marvel right now?
Yes,
There is definitely so much they could be doing. Let's see here. I'm not really sure. Well, what's your favorite event?
My favorite event. Oh my God, there's too many.
I know.
Too many.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I'm not sure if I could actually pick.
Oh yeah, illegally obliged to pick big e-gaming events. I mean, all of the events are
Most of the
so
events I've been to.
They're so good. I mean, I guess by default, Evo, only because it's the largest one. So if there is only one event you can make it out to a year, Evo would be fun. Not only that, like, since it is the largest fighting game event, it's very family friendly. I noticed so many families going to Evo, parents and children, and just all around. And it's in Vegas. Of course, the parents are gonna be like, "I'll go with you to Vegas. Sure, why not?" It's fun for parents too. I don't know. I just think it's a really good choice if you want to, I guess, experience the heart of it because everyone goes to Evo. Absolutely everybody goes to Evo. It's the largest one. You're gonna get a huge dose of what our community is like just by attending Evo, and then from there you're gonna get hooked, and then you're gonna come to all the other events that we have too. That's just the cycle, right? I don't know. All the events are great though. It's really hard to pick just one.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then I don't really feel like I can pick one either yet because I just in the last like 2 years have been able to start traveling to more events out of state because I've been saving up money, which can be definitely something that makes it difficult to attend events. So, ask me, I can't, even if I did, I couldn't, I don't think I could pick one because they all have their own great elements to them. They all bring their own stuff to the table. So, ask me like a year from now and then maybe I'll feel differently. How do you feel the new characters, such as, say, Alex and Guile? I'm going to throw Birdie in there. Well, I guess you mean more. I guess he means more the DLC. So how do you feel the new characters like Alex and Guile, the DLC, are fitting into the game?
I think they're fitting in just as all the other characters fit in. I don't feel like either of them have been so OP or so crazy that, the second they came out, every single person's playing that character. Compared to, let's say, Street Fighter Arcade Edition, right? Yun came out. Everyone was playing Yun for a hot minute.
Right.
Everyone's using him. But, Alex, Guile, they come out. I don't feel like everyone swarmed to them just yet. I feel like they've found a comfortable tier of the game with characters that are currently in it that they didn't reach. So it became less of people wanting to learn the character and more so people wanting to learn how to fight the character with their character. Hopefully one of the newer DLCs will be the one to kind of change the game because we still see a lot of the same characters, from the start compared to any of the DLC characters really rocking out. But there are a few. I've seen a few. But in general, I feel like it's more so still leaning towards Nash and, Karen and characters like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any characters that are completely like, I don't want to say like there isn't any that is completely like, I mean, Armika's been getting some flack and a lot of people saying that she's very cheap, but I haven't seen any character that's definitely like, I don't know what the right word is, like prominent. Is that like the right word? Like very like sticking
dominating
out. Yeah, like sticking out and completely dominating. I do think that Dawson is a lot better in this game than he used to be. I definitely think like I definitely think they made improvements on some of the characters from Street Fighter 4 in comparison to now Street Fighter 5, but I still don't think any one character it's a lot more balanced than Street Fighter 4 is, at least in that regard. What are your predictions for top 8 for Marvel or Street Fighter 5 at Evo?
Whew,
I know that's a big one.
I'm gonna stick with Marvel specifically on this one, and I just want to throw it out there that I have never felt like any top 8 would be more unpredictable than this upcoming year because Street Fighter 5 has dropped. A lot of our prominent players are also focusing on Street Fighter. They are not solely, focusing on Marvel. Even though some of the top players had already been focused on more than one game, some of them were solely Marvel players before 5 came out.
Exactly.
Competitive-wise, being a top player-wise. So I think that really opened up the land of opportunity for the up-and-coming players. We've been seeing a lot of players that we considered underdogs at one point, but now we realize, they're stepping it up, and they are evolving, they are getting better, they are making a name for themselves, and they are beating these players that we were so sure about a year or two ago. And I think that on top of Evo being on Sunday finals day on the big stage, big stadium is going to be a huge motivation. I think that this spur of the moment Marvel 4 idea lit the fire under a lot of people too. A lot of great things are happening, and we have a series of really hype events for Marvel coming up that I think is really going to shape how top 8 Evo is going to look. So I can't call it at all. And that's just an honest opinion, because if there's anything I've learned in this game, you cannot count anyone out at all. At all. So I'm
Sometimes
just
people
excited
surprise
for
you. They come out of the blue and you have no idea that they even played Marvel. They just pop up and they're like, I won.
Seriously.
I'm gonna open the floor up for 2 more questions, and Spice Telix, no political questions. Even though you were kidding. Even though you were kidding. I'm not getting into that. So 2 more questions. But yeah, I'm really excited in general. I mean, we've seen such a huge shift, and I mean like shift in even the growth of the FGC. There's so many more players now competing and coming out to tournaments that it's really hard sometimes to even gauge who's going to win a tournament anymore. So, are you team Captain or are you team Iron Man?
Oh man, that's a difficult one too. I mean,
No spoilers
I don't
because I
know,
haven't seen the
though.
movie yet.
Oh, okay. Man,
I'm
it's
going to try this
difficult.
weekend, but
All I really want to say is I'm Team Spider-Man after
Team
that movie. I fell in love with him. He was awesome. I thought he was great. I thought he was perfect.
oh
So I guess by default, since Spider-Man was on Iron Man's team, that makes me Team Iron Man. I don't know, man.
Oh, you broke his heart.
I did.
You
Sorry.
did.
Sorry, Helix.
You did. Oh no. You just made me more excited. Now I'm curious what Spider-Man is totally like in that movie that he just was like, "Hey," at the end of the trailer. But okay, I'll let's see. Who's your favorite Marvel player? Just try not to be biased about
I
this.
know. Default answer, Yipes is my favorite Marvel player. But actually, it's funny too. I was making fun of Yipes the other day, telling him that he wasn't a Marvel player anymore, that he was a Street Fighter player because he hasn't
Oh
been playing
no.
Marvel. And then he played Marvel yesterday. So I was like, all right, fine, fine. But aside from Yipes, oh man, it's hard. Like I want to pick a player that most recently has become one of my favorite players. Because I don't know, I feel like I've had a favorite Marvel player every year because they just do so well and they show me something new about the game. I'm just like, you are ridiculous. I would probably say like this year, some of the most entertaining matches I've seen were from Ryan LV. It's just really fun to see, him play with Chun-Li. He does still have, some pretty cheap characters on the back end, but just the way he plays with the team is really fun to watch. It's a different approach to Marvel, and I think it takes a lot of people off guard. So I don't know. I think he's becoming one of my favorite players. Nemo, he's always been one of my favorite players, but I have not seen him play much recently, so I don't think that really counts. But yeah, I don't know. There's just been so many amazing players, this year alone. Joel Kevin, he's really fun to watch. There's too many. There's too many amazing players to really pinpoint. It's just like events.
I
Too
know.
many to choose from. They're all great.
And there's always new ones popping up that are really good as well. So it's definitely difficult. So last question for the both of us. Who, I read that wrong. Would you want to see any other fighting game get remade or make a new one? Like, for example, a new Capcom versus SNK.
I think it would be exciting to have something completely new. and something completely out of the box, you know? I feel like we've seen so many of the same games being made that it would be nice to have something new. That might also be why I was really hyped for Pokken, because that really felt like something
Exactly.
new. So I think having a new game is definitely more interesting than remaking an old game, because when you remake an old game, you're opening yourself up to the expectation of that game. You're opening yourself up to the expectation of a fan base who's going to be overly critical if you don't make it exactly like it was before.
Right.
But then if you don't change it at all, they're also going to tear you apart. I don't know. I just think starting off with a fresh new game, something exciting, something different out of the box. I don't know, make it insane. Don't just make it Capcom versus SNK. What about Marvel versus Capcom versus SNK versus,
Oh
just go
wow,
crazy.
that
You
that
do whatever you want. I mean, yeah, there's the politics. You have to own the rights and this and that. But I
that's
mean,
the
if
unfortunate part about it is
right, in a world where that didn't exist, I would say make a new game and just go crazy and just enjoy it. That's always been the coolest thing to me. The most interesting thing about games in general is the design process. How you and a team of people can make something from scratch and make it and forge it into exactly what you want and into something new. You don't have to remake something. You can make something. I'm always down for something fresh and inspiring and different. I think it's awesome. So yeah,
and
new game.
to go off of that, I agree about the new game. I'd really like to see some new fighting games be successful and pop up that we haven't seen before, something different. But I'm also going to bring up two different fighting games that I'm not sure who knows about that I think would be really fun to see remade. One of them is Red Earth, which it was mostly just on an arcade. But if you have Capcom Fighting Evolution, you can play 4 different characters from Red Earth, and they are like the funniest. Like, I think there's like this weird slime alien thing that makes some weird noises that I could imitate, but I'm not going to imitate right now. There's a dinosaur. There's like a lion with the sword. Like, there are definitely some interesting characters, and I would like to see something like that get remade. I think this one would be funny, more funny and enjoyable to play. I'm not sure if it could be played competitively, but I also want to see somebody remake Clay Fighters. I mean, obviously it didn't really go anywhere after N64, but I found it to be really funny and enjoyable play. I definitely agree about Primal Rage. I would like to see Primal Rage be remade. There's a lot of fighting games that were done before, and that was it. And then you never saw it again. So that's definitely something that I would want to see. But last but not least, my last signature question that I always like to ask: if you could be one superhero and one fighting game character, who would it be and why?
One superhero and one fighting game character.
Yep.
Okay. If I was a superhero, I would probably be superhero. I have to be a good guy.
You can be whoever you want to be. If you want to be a villain,
okay.
be a villain.
If I was a superhero, I would probably be Doctor Strange, because then I would just be OD ridiculous and not even have to worry about anything. And then if I was a fighting game character, I would be what would be the most beneficial to my life if I was a fighting game character? Trying to think as if I'd live the same life being a fighting game character. You know what? For Yipes' sake, I would be Psylocke. That would be the fighting game character I would be. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Doctor Strange and Psylocke.
It's definitely an interesting combination. Definitely. So I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. I apologize about some of the sound issues that we were experiencing earlier, but I am glad they were resolved by the end of it. Persia, are there any shout outs that you like to give?
Yeah, of course, shout outs to Broken Tier. I love Broken Tier. Been on Broken Tier for a while now. You can check them out, brokentier.com, bringing you the best in fighting game apparel. Marvel Live every first and third Tuesday on twitch.tv/Team Spooky. Our next episode, number 18, is actually coming up this Tuesday, so don't miss it. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and I can't talk about it now, but we're going to be talking about something super huge that's getting announced tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And shout outs to MASH Fest, of course. MASH Fest this Monday. Next week, we also have the MASH Fest 4-year anniversary. Arturo usually streams it, but he's also a busy man. If he is there, it's going to be on twitch.tv/NYC Furby. You can follow me, of course, on Twitter and Facebook and Twitch on your screen now. And thank you. Huge shout outs to you, Emily, for bringing me on. It was fun, and we talked about so much stuff, and I hope everyone in the chat enjoyed our conversation too.
Definitely. Well, thank you for agreeing to come on. I hope that everybody enjoyed it, and until next time, bye, and have a good night, everybody. I will see you all again next month for the show, but I might throw in some gameplay randomly in there as well. So, have a good night.